The most substantial action you might use in Smart Actions is to create a site based on a trigger from a list. Now, this might seem unusual. Typically, an administrator or power user might create sites in SharePoint. However, at a more basic level, sites are just used as a means to organize content in a hierarchical manner. So in a list that has something such as significant projects, there are some advantages to dynamically creating a site for each project, for example. When you have an individual site, it helps to segregate content, and also you can uniquely permission those sites so that only particular users would be able to access them. So it opens up a lot of flexibility in terms of dividing up content and keeping content organized for users. So we'll take a look at how to trigger that based on the actions and see how this is going to look. So in our projects tool, what we want to do is go into the list settings, and we're going to create a new action, which is going to actually create an entire site. And to trigger this, what we want to do is make this happen on the add form. So this is very similar to the action to create a library or a list based on a trigger. So in here, I've actually used the create site action, and I've just given it an appropriate label, and I want to make sure this is only triggered on the new form. Under the advanced settings, I want to hide this from the user, and then I need an error message in case this doesn't work. Impersonation very well may be necessary here because typically users don't have the permission to actually create another site. So this would likely trigger an error unless it was the owner of that site or an administrator in SharePoint. So this is going to be important for this particular type of action. For the action settings, the title of the site in particular is important. Now, URLs usually are picked carefully, so we want to pay attention to that. So it's the title and URL that we're concerned with. The title is going to show at the top of the home page, and it's going to remain in that header as you're navigating through the site. The URL in particular, we'd like it to be short if possible. We'd like to avoid spaces. In my case, I've just used the convention project dash site dash and then the value and the name for project. Of course, in this situation, we need to know that the project name is unique, so that's another consideration. For the template, you can use any of the various site templates. Team site's very common and one that you would usually want to use. And typically you want to use the same permissions as the parent. You want that to cascade down. And also use the top link from the parent site. That's it. We don't need conditions for this. So this action is going to be triggered when I add a new project. And as with the other actions, we want to check this. So I've created a new project, and I want to look and see if it created it where I expected. So in the last area, we set this so it's going to show as a sub-site underneath of my current site. So if I put in that URL, I can go over there and verify. And sure enough, I do have my project. My project was called Feature Updates. So we have a new site called Feature Updates Project Site at the URL that was designated. So it's not necessarily resource intensive just to create an empty team site based on a smart action.